Hello, everybody. So I wanted to post the first chapter of a story I'm writing. It's the same story that a lot of my dragon's lore is set in. Luminous is one of the main characters of this story. But I wanted to, post it. I don't know. So, alright, I'm just going to start reading it. Chapter 1. Nyx. Nyx sat in the shelter of a shadowy cave. He looked down at his claws. His sky-cursed claws. Nyx sighed. He was a Shadowclaw. Dragons who could manipulate shadows. Except he was stronger than most of them. He could black out the sky. He hadn't asked for this power. Hadn't wanted it. But he had it. Nyx glanced at his half-eaten rabbit in the corner of the cave. His stomach turned. He didn't really feel like eating raw meat right now. Or fruit. He felt like eating bread and cake. Nyx reached into the small leather pouch he kept around his ankle. He had a few coins. Not much, but it would at least get him some bread. Nyx stood up, walking out of the cave. He normally avoided other dragons, especially towns or cities. But it had been a while. Surely nothing bad would happen in 1 hour of being in the small Duskclaw village that was nearby. Nyx spread his wings and lifted into the air. Once he was aloft, he could see the small wooden buildings that were tucked next to a large rocky hill. It only took a few minutes to reach it, or at least the edges of the town. Nyx landed in the street, nearly bumping into a Duskclaw, who tisked at him and kept walking. "Sorry," Nyx muttered. Ducking his head low, he walked quickly along the street. Shadows gathered at his claws as he walked, and he brushed them away. He ignored the other dragons walking around him, some laughing with friends, a few dragons reading at a small cafe, many dragons shopping. Nyx noticed one dragon crying as she read a letter. A pair of dragonets tumbled in front of his claws. Nyx hissed with slight annoyance, but they were already out of the way, chasing each other around the houses. Nyx couldn't help but notice how cheerful it looked. Most dragons here were happy. Nyx wondered if he would have been like that, if his mother hadn't died, if he had grown up with her in the Shadowclaw village. Would he have been so easily happy too? Didn't matter. Not anymore. Nyx tucked his wings close so that nobody could see the few golden scales on the underside of them. He didn't need dragons staring at him. He spotted a small bakery and turned towards it, increasing his pace. A bell on the door jingled as he entered, startling him a bit. Nyx walked into the shelf stocked with different kinds of bread. His claws hovered over the different bags. He didn't know much about bread, but Nyx snatched up a bag of some whitish slices and brought it to the... A pretty Duskclaw was standing there. She smiled at him. "Just the bread?" Yeah, Nyx nodded. "That'll be 3 silver, she told him. Nyx fumbled with the coins in his pouch, finding the 3 silver coins and setting them on the counter. The Duskclaw picked them up, and Nyx took the bread. "Have a nice day," she said as he turned. Yeah, you too," Nyx agreed, walking quickly out the door. He glanced around. He wasn't ready to leave quite yet. Nyx spotted a stretch of grass and walked over to it. He sat down, curling his tail around his talons. Nyx sat and watched the dragons around him. He saw a pair of dragons about his age, looking over a scroll together and laughing. Nyx had never laughed like that with anybody his age. The only dragon he had ever really known was his mother. That should have been different, he thought bitterly. He should have had a brother to play fight with, to read with, to laugh with. Nyx looked down at his talons. Shadows had gathered around his claws. He shook them away. Shadows always gathered around him, especially when he wasn't in a good mood. And it was annoying, but in a way comforting, that he would always have shadows ready when he needed them. Nyx wondered if there was a kind of shadow that was more powerful than regular ones. He knew the darker a shadow was, the stronger it was, less likely to dissipate or break. But Nyx wanted to know if there was a kind that was more powerful. "Ah," someone said softly from nearby. Nyx looked up. A purple Duskclaw had sat down in the street nearby. She was clutching her horns. Then she lifted her head and spoke in an eerie voice. "The sky will fall dark, the sun will fade, and only blood will follow." She sighed as soon as she was done speaking, then turned away. Nyx stared at her back. "The sky will fall dark, the sun will fade, and only blood will follow." He gasped. That was a prophecy. Was it about him? The sky will fall dark, the sun will fade. Blood. The words echoed in his head. Shadows gathered around Nyx, forming a dark circle around him. The sun will fade, the sun will fade, the sun will fade. Nick screeched. His talons reached toward the sky without his permission, and all at once the world went dark and silent. Nick gasped. He just darkened the sky. No, 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 he whispered. Somebody screamed. Dragon started chattering and shouting, asking what had happened. Nyx cried out, his voice lost in the chaos. He reached his talons back towards the sky, willing the darkness to go away. And it did. The blackened sky returned to blue, the sun shining cheerfully as if nothing had happened. Nyx glanced around. The Duskclaw that had spoke the prophecy was staring at him. He met eye contact with her, and they stared at each other for a long time. Then Nyx turned. Winding shadows around himself, he ducked into a small alleyway. He stood there for a moment, taking deep breaths. Then he dashed away, quickly making his way out of the town and back to his cave. Alright, well, that is the story. Well, that's the first chapter. You probably noticed I did mess up several times because I'm not, like, a professional by any means of doing this. I don't have a ton of practice. I'm working on it. I'll get better as I do YouTube more. But I hope you enjoyed. I know I've posted many things about Nyx on my channel before, so you guys probably know at least some of where his story is going if you've been following me for a while. But, so, the book, if I post more, I'll post more if you guys like this. It will change perspective a lot, because I have no self-control when it comes to my characters, and I want to see it in everybody's point of view, not just, like, 2 or 3. So, expect that, but... So, yeah, just let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know if I should, like, Hello, everybody. So, I wanted to record the first chapter of a book / a story I'm writing. I don't know if I'll ever actually, like, publish. Hello, everybody. That was really slow. That sounded weird. Hello, everybody. So I wanted to post the first chapter of the story that a lot of my Dragon's lore are set in. I'm trying to write, like, an entire book. I don't know if I'd ever actually, like, publish it, but I'm just writing for fun. So, I'm just gonna, like... Oh my gosh, this sounds so weird. Oh, why is this so hard? Oh gosh. Why can't I get this to work right?